All right, let's dive into a story that's just incredible. It's got everything: a legendary sports car, a family that's totally fearless, and one of the most brutal off road adventures you can imagine.
And the whole thing really hinges on this one amazing question. A question asked not because someone was confused, but out of pure, unfiltered confidence. This was right after they tackled an obstacle that left other, supposedly tougher vehicles completely stuck. So we're going to unpack how they got to that very moment.
I mean, that's the big question here, right? What is a Porsche 911? A car you picture on a racetrack or a perfect mountain road, doing smack in the middle of the Brazilian wilderness, literally staring down a river. It just doesn't seem to fit. So yeah, how in the world did it get there? And, more importantly, what happened next?
Okay, to figure that out, we've got to talk about where this all went down. We're not talking about just any patch of dirt. This is the 33rd Rally dos Sertões. And if you haven't heard of it, just know it has a reputation for being the toughest, most grueling adventure in all of South America. No joke.
So, the vehicles you normally see at this rally are purpose-built beasts: motorcycles, quads, UTVs, the stuff designed for this kind of punishment. So you can just imagine the scene when the Pietro Volk family shows up in a Porsche 911 Dakar. It wasn't just a surprise, it was a first, the first Porsche ever in this race. And believe me, it turned some heads.
So you have to wonder, who are the people bold enough to do something like this? Well, let's shift gears from the car to the family behind the wheel, the Pietro Volks. For them, this isn't some weekend hobby. Their love for Porsche runs deep, it's super personal, and it goes back a long, long time. Get this, 19. That is how many different Porsche models this family has owned over the years. Think about that for a second. This goes way beyond just being a fan of a brand. It's woven into the fabric of their family's story, it's their shared passion. And their whole Porsche journey actually started out pretty practically. They got a Cayenne, an SUV with sports car genes, when they found out their son was on the way. But that first taste, well, it turned into a full-blown mission to experience pretty much everything Porsche makes. We're talking Caymans, Macans, Panameras, even the electric Taycan, and of course, a whole bunch of 911s. So the Dakar, it's not just another car in the collection. It's really the peak of that entire adventure. And this right here, this quote from Freddie, the dad, is so key to understanding them. He says, "We buy cars to drive them." For this family, these aren't shiny objects to keep in a garage. They're meant to be used. It's all about the feeling, the experience. And that's true whether they're just running errands or, tackling a brutal off-road rally. Well, that whole drive it like you mean it philosophy was about to get its biggest test yet. Because the rally, as tough as that was actually just one piece of a much, much bigger journey. Okay, check this out. Their trip didn't start at the starting line. First, they had to drive the 911 Dakar 1,200 kilometers just to get to the race. Then, they drove almost 3,500 kilometers of insane, rugged wilderness for the rally itself. And after all that, when they finally crossed the finish line, they just got back in the car and drove all the way home. Unbelievable. So when you add it all up, over 2 weeks, they covered a staggering 7,440 kilometers. To put that in perspective, that's like driving from Lisbon, Portugal, all the way to Moscow, Russia, and then keeping going. Just an incredible test of endurance for everyone and for the car. In every great story, there's that one moment, the moment of truth, where everything comes down to a single decision. For the Pietro Volks and their 911 Dakar, that moment arrived pretty early on, right at the bank of a river. So try to picture this. The whole group of rally vehicles gets to this river crossing, and even the guys in the big jacked-up trucks and UTVs are hitting the brakes. They're getting out, they're looking at the water, trying to figure out what to do. You could just feel the hesitation hanging in the air. The tension just keeps building. An official guide actually comes over and warns them, saying, hey, someone should probably walk into the water first to check how deep it is. So yeah, the risk here was totally real.
But while all this was happening, while everyone else was standing around wondering what to do, Susile Pietro Vogt, sitting in the driver's seat of the 911, she just went for it. No second thoughts. She hit the gas, drove straight through that river with total confidence, and popped out on the other side. And you can bet everyone was just stunned. And that's when she asked that incredible question. Was that it?
And that moment at the river, it was more than just a brave move. It was the ultimate validation. It proved to them and to everyone else that they didn't just bring a good car for the job. They had brought the perfect car for who they are and the kind of adventures they chase. Because this rally, it wasn't some one-off crazy idea. It was really just the next chapter in a life that's already packed with these kinds of adventures in their Porsches. I mean, they've driven on ice in Finland, they've explored the deserts in Namibia. This family really, truly lives this stuff. And if you need one more detail to really understand their commitment, get this. The Dakar wasn't just their ride, it was also their hotel. They slept in a tent on the roof, right on top of the car, completely immersed in the middle of the wilderness. That's dedication. And in the end, that's what this all boils down to. It's what Freddie was talking about, connection. For the Piazza Vogs, having a Porsche has nothing to do with showing off. It's about being part of this worldwide family of people who are passionate about driving and adventure. It's about feeling like you belong to something special. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? The Piazza Vogs found their perfect vehicle, and they didn't hesitate to take on a massive challenge with it. So it makes you wonder, if you had the absolute perfect vehicle for whatever your dream adventure is, where would you take it?